I'm Grelia Steele, the Community Outreach Manager for OEM. And this is Avery Church. He is the county's Continuity Program Manager who will be talking to us about COOP. What is COOP?
It's a fantastic question. And it's not a silly question by any stretch of the imagination. For the most part, continuity operations is a culmination of the minor details of any business or any organization that provides a service. It's the continuation of the mission. Now, your mission may be to continue the federal government based on the U.S. Constitution, or it may be to provide, sandwiches at your sandwich shop. The particulars may be a little different, but the basic premise is the same. There are 10 steps, generally speaking, in continuity operations, and we're not going to go over all those today. But if you look at us on Twitter in the next couple of weeks, we'll give you all those good details. If you follow those 10 steps and a couple other good business practices, you're definitely on the way to providing continuity operations. And for the most part, the takeaway from that is that it's a continuation of your mission. Whatever that mission may be, that's what continuity operations is based on.
So making sure that you continue your business even in times of disaster. So if you're in the finance world, making sure that your financial branches or your call centers are still running and operating even during a disaster. And maybe I'm glad that you brought in the small business component. So bakery shops, sandwich shops, making sure that you're still receiving your goods to make those sandwiches, to keep your doors open during disasters, which is very critical when it comes to the recovery piece of emergencies. So the other question that we have, and he kind of mentioned it, and we want to go a little more in detail. What is coming up next week?
So next week, with the help of Grelia here, OEM is going to be hosting a Twitter chat, similar to the one that was mentioned with Maryland. We're going to be doing it here. It's going to be mostly centered around counter operations. So submit your questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. That will be May 19th at 1 o'clock. Yep. So you want to give them our Twitter handle?
So follow us on Twitter at Fairfax. Again, May 19th at 1 p.m. We will post some questions out to you, but the whole idea is to start that conversation. The hashtag that we will be using is hashtag #ReadyFairfax. And we will be hosting this during a special week, and we want Avery to let us know who's hosting this week, what does it mean for the entire nation, and why Fairfax County is participating.
Oh, thank you. So the week of May 15th to May 19th, very special week in my world anyway. It's Business Continuity Awareness Week. So every year this happens, and it's sponsored by BCI, one of the organizations that provide guidance for the business continuity world. So this year's theme will be cybersecurity. And that's important because all of us have a part to play in cybersecurity. And all of us have things in our life that rely upon security of our cyber operations. I don't think there's any way to kind of, bear to us any more the importance of cybersecurity than the things you read in the news. So those are the things we're talking about during that week. We'll be posting information. And hopefully you'll find that information to be very valuable to whether your personal operations or your business operations.
So the next question, I'm glad that you touched on the theme that's coming up next month. What can small businesses or business in general do to help them towards their cybersecurity resilience?
It's a good question. So as we all know, small businesses are the cornerstone of our community. We all interact with small businesses on a daily basis. Without them, a lot of our operations that we rely upon on the day-to-day basis, whether it's daycare providers, that bakery that you spoke about, or any other business in between, our daily lives would be interrupted. So for a small business, cybersecurity is important because there are a number of things to consider. There's a cost factor, but there's also the ramifications of not incorporating cybersecurity mitigation strategies. For the most part, your biggest thing will be taking care of the small details. Two-factor authentication, make sure your passwords are changed for all your corporate applications. Mm-hmm. And we all know that there are a number of passwords out there. No one can remember all 40 or 50 passwords because they have to be, 12 characters and up and down.
Yes, do you recommend any particular app or any software that someone can translate all their passwords into just one area that's secure?
Of course. I'm not going to mention one company, but quick Google search or Bing search, you'll be able to find them relatively quickly. But you're looking for a password manager. That's what you're looking for. It's going to be a centralized cloud-based application that puts all your passwords in one place. It's going to be encrypted. It's beyond bank level encryption for most providers. So you have that level of security that hackers not going to be able to find your passwords. And if they do break into the first level, your passwords are always going to be hashed at a different level of encryption, so they still can't get your passwords. So that's the biggest thing with two-factor authentication and with password management. Beyond that, you want to make sure that you understand how your functions actually operate at the small business level. Those are all things that rely upon having a very good cognitive capability to understand how your business actually works. Because it's not just about buying cybersecurity software. It's about understanding your business and working with the folks that work there to make sure everyone understands their role in the operation of your business.
How does COOP apply to an everyday person? So if they don't have a business, how does it apply to them?
Again, a very good question. So counter operations is basically the continuation of anything. So your daily life, going to pick up your kids, getting dinner, going to work, we all incorporate elements of counter operations in those practices.
Right.
If someone were to happen to pick up your kid early, you're instituting counter operations. So one of the big keys I'd like to think that most people need to actually start using would be having kind of a larger resilience when it comes to cybersecurity. So like wireless connections, we've all gone to Starbucks or any other coffee shop, and we've all used their free, nifty, speedy Wi-Fi. But we also have to remember to make sure our connection is encrypted. So you all need to have a VPN to make sure that you're not just transmitting your information over the open Wi-Fi network there. Because the reality is anyone with $100 can acquire the material needed to get all of your passwords and everything else you're transmitting. So make sure you have a VPN to couple with any use of Wi-Fi. That will give you another level of security.
One of the other things that often comes up is, I want to make a plan. How do I get started? And I know that you want to mention ReadyNova as a tool because it's basically a PDF form. It's a template that you just input information and then it's available to you. It's available to all of us.
Yeah. And ReadyNova is a really great resource to give you that start. Because as you all know, with anything you want to do, this starting is really going to get you, halfway there. So they'll give you templates, things to consider and think about when you're looking at emergency plan for any organization. Those are things that I kind of tell people, like, just get the start, and then everything else will build. Because once you start thinking through things, you'll start realizing how everything interacts and interdependencies. So it'll build upon itself. So just get started and look at ReadyNova as a resource. And
so one of the big shocking, as I was doing my research on this topic, was that the statistics from the Pew Research Center shows that more than half of U.S. population has experienced some sort of cyber hacking. That's a huge amount, and we want you to understand that the reason why we host these talks is so that we can promote awareness, but also to give you those practical tips. We will see you next month, second Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. for the next live segment, and we will be talking about animal preparedness.